Allegiance, please. I'll ask Tyler Clark to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Do we have first-time attendees? If this is the first time you've been to a Washington County Democratic Women's meeting, would you wave at us or stand up or in some way indicate your presence? We hope that you'll come back. Are there elected officials here that I want to stand up and wave at us? I think there's Susan Bass and Daniel Ball and Ann Harbison. Thank you. All right. Oh, and if you sit on the back row, sometimes we can't see you. So anyway, we're glad that those people are here, and it's good to know those people because they represent us in Washington County, and they need to hear what we have to say, and they're used to it. All right. Our current membership is at 175. It's unprecedented, and I'm excited about that. So we can grow. And so if you haven't joined Washington County Democratic Women and you're interested, it's $20 a year, and we hope that you will. There are minutes on the tables. There should be 2 or 3 copies of minutes on the table, and there are 2 minutes. All right, thank you, Eva Madison. Is there a second? Georgia Ross, thank you. Second, all in favor? Aye. Does anybody ever read those?
Yes.
I do. It's my job. All right. No, it looks like we're going to pass on the financial report right now. May have to come back to that. One of the things that our executive committee has been working on is trying to make sure that what we are doing is purposeful and that we are following some type of protocol. And we've gone back and reread our bylaws, and that's always fun because then you find all the things that you are not doing according to the bylaws of your organization. So, one of the things that is in our bylaws is that we have a 1-year-long nominating committee that is elected in September and serves until the following September. Well, we missed last September, and this next September is going to be here before you know it. And so it's a 3-person nominating committee, and I need nominations for the nominating committee, which is confusing. I had a group of people who had asked to serve on the nominating committee who I've emailed, and I have not received a reply from any of those people. That's the way I felt about it. And so I would like to get nominations for volunteers, for people who would be willing to serve on the nominating committee since it has to be an election.
I'll volunteer.
All right, Mary Alice Serafini, we appreciate that. Is there anyone else? Georgia Ross will volunteer. All right, can I have another volunteer?
I think the band should volunteer.
I think so too.
How many do you need?
1.
I'll do it.
All right, and Joshua Mahoney will serve on our nominating committee. All right, now duly nominated. Are
I know,
there
but I
any
can
other
help.
nominations from the floor?
I think nomination seats and they be elected by acclamation.
And Carol Waddle seconds. Move that they be elected by acclamations, and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. We have a nominating committee. Woohoo! Yay! Just a few months late, but we'll do better in September. Thank you. I will appreciate all three of those people. Get those names. Get those names in the minutes. All right. All right, now then, I'm going to quit talking because you didn't come to hear me. Oh, and here's our treasurer's report. So, just right on time. This is Glenda Patterson. She's our treasurer.
Debits for the month have been the mermaid's activity fee, which is $150. Speaker's dinner was $16, and deposit slips were $57.74. That is a lot for deposit slips, but I did not know that when I ordered one pack, it was a packet. So now we have deposit slips that will last forever. We'll continue with our current rate of membership. Deposit won't last again. That's the good news. Okay. So credits, membership from the last meeting, we had $160. Mail-in was $20. We did have a donation of $170 for a total of $350 deposit. And our current balance is $4,656.54. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
And that's, she did mention that we have a fee to the restaurant, $150 every month for the room, and we're happy to have a wonderful space to meet in, but if there are any kind angels in the group that might want to make a donation to help us offset the cost of the meeting room, we would most graciously accept it. Thank you. All right, now then, I am going to let our Vice Chair for Programs, Ms. Carol Waddle, come up, and she is going to introduce our moderator, who will then introduce the members of our panel who are going to speak to us tonight, how to mobilize on social media. I have some interesting questions, and I hope you will too. This is one time that it's okay to get your phone out and be poking around on your phone. And so, yeah, turn the ringer off, but go ahead and get out your phones, and hopefully we'll have some better ways to get our message out into the world. This is Carol Ball. She's our vice chair. Thanks. And our moderator tonight will be Gracie Ziegler. She is currently the Channel Marketing Manager for Convenience Food Service at Tyson Foods. As a graduate of the University of Arkansas with a BA in creative writing, she has leveraged her marketing and communication skills throughout many career opportunities at both Walmart and Tyson over the last 15 years. Gracie, I didn't know you were that old. Or not? You started when you were like 10? Yes. Okay.
My mother was.
Exactly. I know that. Gracie's mom and I get mistaken for each other all the time, so if we ever do anything bad and somebody catches us, we just say, oh, it was Lynette, it was not me, so. Gracie, her husband Mike, and Presley, their 15-year-old Lavish, are Fayetteville natives and plan to always call it home. Gracie enjoys Razorback tailgating, entertaining, and the word fabulous. She has a passion for traveling and experiencing new places. She's a self-proclaimed social media super nerd, so you probably know all these things about her already if you follow her on social media. She is also a longtime volunteer throughout many organizations in Northwest Arkansas.
She is the immediate past president of the Junior League of Northwest Arkansas, which she just abdicated her throne about a month ago. And she currently serves on the board of Washington County EOA and is an advisory member of Brave Woman, and she is very active with Washington County Democrats. So please help me welcome Gracie Ziegler.
Hi, thanks for being here tonight. So I sell hot dogs during the day to convenience stores, so this is kind of different for me to talk about social media, but I love social media, and if you are on social media and follow me, then you know how much I do love it. So we're just going to share some facts and figures tonight, and then get a panel up here to kind of talk about how communicating on social media starts within, and then how we can all radiate out the same message from this group, and then from a county group, and then it just snowballs to share messaging out. So did you know 83% of all female adults online are on Facebook, and 75% of those women check it at least daily? And when you break down the numbers, yes, 88% of that subset is 18 to 29, but still 70% of adults on Facebook are over the age of 30. So us in this room still fall into that very high level of activity on social media. So who here is on Facebook? Just raise your hand. Do you check it weekly? Daily? Hourly? I was just answering a question, so I could go by the minute probably on social media. But it's important to know that our world is changing as far as communication platforms are concerned, and social media is one way that we're doing that. So this evening, like I said, we're going to talk about how the panel of experts here kind of talk in an influencer community and communications, and as well as how we're going to learn together how to kind of make that work for our group and then help teach other groups. So like Sarah said, typically we always put our phones away on silent, keep them on silent, but definitely feel free to pull your phones out and play along. You've got a couple of handouts on the table. You've got a one-pager that looks like this that's just got some tips and tricks for social media as far as engaging, as well as the stats and figures from the PowerPoint, so you don't have to keep up with the screen if you want to flip through that. It's just there for the taking. So we'll wrap up after the panel and open questions to the floor. So before I introduce the speakers panel, just some political Facebook facts. Did you know 35% of Democrats and 22% of Republicans follow candidates on Facebook, and that number grew by 1,000% over the last election cycle. So politicians and candidates are on Facebook and on social media, and they are willing and ready to be engaged and talked to, and when we need to get a message out, they're listening, and their people are listening for that too. 44% of all people were disappointed at learning through social media that one of their friends supported another candidate of opposing views. Interestingly, the breakdown of that was 63% of Democrats were sad to learn that a friend supported an opposing candidate, and only 27% of Republicans were sad. 30% of people say that they would worry about what friends would think if they posted something about a candidate maybe their friends didn't like. So there's a lot of feeling involved in social media, and we're here to kind of talk about how we channel that feeling and still get messaging out that's not hurtful and mean all the time. But the breakout of that 30% was 39% of Democrats and 22% of Republicans. So that just goes to show that from a liberal standpoint, we have a lot more feelings. So with those numbers in mind, I will introduce our speakers, and they'll come up and take the mic as we go through the panel. So Ashley Kamara, y'all want to come up as you call, or you can come up in mask, that's cool. You can hold hands and mosey up. Ashley Kamara is a professional photographer living in Rogers, Arkansas with her children, all under the age of 9, 4 children all under the age of 9, and her husband, Zahid. She, along with several other women, started the NWA United Progressives, or UP. UP meets monthly, focusing on community outreach, grassroots political education, and local level policy engagement. She maintains a daily presence on social media, documenting her life as a working mom and raising her children during the resistance, all while pursuing her college degree. So Ashley Kamara. Next on the panel, Leila Davidson. Leila is the award-winning author of Blacklisted from the PTA, Who Peed on My Yoga Mat, and Faking Balance, Adventures in Work and Life. She has been a freelance journalist and communicator for NBC News, Today Moms, iVillage, the Huffington Post, and she speaks nationally on media, marketing, women in leadership, and faking work-life balance. Her humorous, inspirational essays are featured in family and parenting magazines throughout North America and in Chicken Soup for the Soul for new moms. Her book marketing advice has been featured in Reader's Digest as well. As Vice President for Account Leadership and Client Partnerships at Saatchi & Saatchi, Leila leads a team of bold and creative business builders responsible for Walmart customer teams for Procter & Gamble, Coca-Cola, and other Northwest Arkansas-based clients. Born in 1969 to a 17-year-old runaway living in San Francisco in a commune, she might have taken the straighter path to a writing life. But somehow Leila emerged from her childhood haze of macrame, alfalfa sprouts, and basement band rehearsals to rebel to the extreme. She became a CPA. And then she married an engineer with excellent table manners. They have 2 kids, and they moved into an idyllic cul-de-sac where, as it turns out, life is just as ridiculous as it was in her unconventional upbringing. So in 2007, she let her accounting license lapse and started telling stories that made her laugh, cry, and cope, and sometimes all 3. Writing led to managing writers, designing content strategy, and marketing. And Leila believes it is our moral responsibility to find the things that make us lose track of time, the things that empty all the racing thoughts from our head and leave us deaf to the oven timer so we forget about the cookies or whatever else is in the oven until the smoke finds you. Writing and telling stories is her thing. When she's not working, she hangs out with her friends and family, practices yoga, eats corn chips and drinks cocktails, and finds new uses for spreadsheets. And the third member of our panel, Tyler B. Clark. Tyler is serving in his 4th term as chairman of the Washington County Democrats. Tyler also serves as the Democratic Party of Arkansas treasurer since 2014. His interest in politics sparked at an early age. He was the only student to cast a vote for Michael Dukakis in the mock presidential election in his elementary school. And his hunger for politics was filled while growing up in Arkansas while President Clinton was in the White House. Always willing to take on a fight and root for the underdog, his true political action began when he was elected president of the Benton County Young Democrats. Since that time, Tyler has been an active volunteer and advisor in a number of local, state, and federal campaigns, including, this list is long, it's very long, there's a lot of people, everybody, all the people. Tyler represented the 3rd Congressional District of Arkansas in the 2012 Democratic National Convention as a delegate, and later that year he was honored to serve as presidential elector. In 2013, he was named Democratic Party of Arkansas Democratic Man of the Year. Tyler often contributes to television, radio, and other media outlets. He has worked as a senior executive in the nonprofit sector for over a decade. His passion for politics and his nonprofit life also run deep in his belief for equality for all. Tyler was named to the 2017 Elizabeth Cook Grassroots Advocate of the National Association of Community Healthcare Centers in Washington, D.C. When not on the road for politics or doing all of the other things that have bullet points, Tyler lives in downtown Fayetteville, enjoys cheering on the Razorbacks, trying out new local brews, collecting vintage campaign buttons, and watching The West Wing and House of Cards repeatedly. As chair, Tyler is primarily responsible for the party's strategic planning, candidate recruitment, campaign headquarters operations, and fundraising. He also serves as the spokesperson for the party. So these are our panelists. And we're gonna pass the mic, and we're gonna start with Leila. So Leila, how have you used social media to mobilize moms and women around your books, around your workshop, and now at Saatchi and everything you do?
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me. Thanks for the long bio introduction. I'm gonna have to truncate that. Also, I can't watch House of Cards anymore because it's really scary. It's like real.
It's too true.
Okay. So, funny story. I got on social media in 2008 because I was working as a full-time freelance writer at the time, and Prevention magazine, super cutting edge, they really were, and they were going digital, and I got a gig with them writing, and they required that I use something called MySpace and Facebook to promote my articles. So, a few months earlier, I had actually blocked Facebook.com, whatever that was, from my home computer because we were having all these viruses, and I found out that my babysitter was going on this thing called Facebook.com, and I thought that must be the evil portal to the viruses. And so I actually had to unblock Facebook the first time I used it. That quickly became maybe a little bit of an obsession. I remember a few months after I got on Facebook and we were in a group and someone said they were going to be my friend, and another friend said, wow, she posts a lot, really a lot. But I kind of went from 0 to 100 in overnight. So I didn't know anything about social media, and I got on and it was still very, very early. But the one thing that I did know is that I needed to have some rules for myself, because probably the year before I'd been online in any kind of capacity, a friend had suggested I have a blog. And I was like, that is the worst idea in the history of ideas, because I just talk way too much. And if I had a blog, I would just be able to say anything and never be able to take it back. And how would I ever control my filterlessness? So I made myself some rules that I then applied to social media, which was being online, something is forever. So simple rule of thumb, always be positive, right? That was just so easy to do, because if you say anything negative, it's there always. And that was a rule I followed. And it fits into kind of a framework that I developed. And so thinking about it in terms of political activism, I would say it's the 3 C's, right? So it's your cause, your content, and then your consistency. So your cause is your why. Whatever you're promoting, whether you're marketing a book or you're marketing, the agency or a party that you're throwing for someone, like, you've got to have that focus on that cause. So it's really important that you know what you're promoting. Part and parcel to that is choosing your platform, right? It's very easy to think, oh, but we have to be on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and whatever new thing comes out tomorrow, and there will be a new thing every day. And so you've got to go where your audience is, where your people are, and then where you feel comfortable. And Facebook is that for me. Twitter is that in a way, because I can, pre-schedule. But like Instagram, I kind of try. I'm not a great photographer, but I play around. That's not really my place. Snapchat is just to annoy my daughter, mostly. But you don't feel like you have to be everywhere. So pick your cause, and that includes your audience and your platform. And then your content. So that gets back to having a set of rules for yourself or principles. I'm always going to be positive. Ironically, I don't go political at all ever online, because as I was developing my online presence, my audience is very conservative. The moms and the mommy groups that I would reach with my humor, very conservative, which I'm really not. So I just made that rule. I've only broken it a couple times, maybe last November. I had to make but yeah, I'm over that now, yeah. So think about what you want to share and what not to share. And it gets a little interesting when you do as I do and you blend your personal and your cause or your professional. And so you just have to know, you don't have to stick to one thing, but if you the more you stick to one thing at a time, the more effective you will be. So if there's something that you really want to do, it's just a matter of focus, right? You've got to figure out, what am I going to share over and over and over and not distract people. And that doesn't mean that you can't share the personal and the professional or the political, but just think about it. Think about the different messages that people are getting, and the fact that people are they need to hear things over and over and over to receive it. And that leads to the consistency. So we all know any kind of marketing, any kind of sales, you want to build that, be known, liked, and trusted. And the more you stick to that consistent message, you will be trusted. The more that you post on a consistent basis, you will be known. And if you're in the right place with the right message that you're passionate about, you will be liked by the people that it's important that like you. And I think that those three, the cause, content, and consistency, I think you can apply those to anything, whether it's a small project, whether it's a larger platform, whether you're running for office. But there really is so much out there that my biggest encouragement to you would be to hone in on something that you can focus on, that you can really feel like you can commit to for a quarter or a year, or something that you can really just lean into for a while, because this stuff is not overnight. My kids tease me because I think I've tweeted like 10,000 times, and it's just drip, 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 and over time it develops. And don't feel like you have to have it all figured out at once. So we know in branding and marketing, these shiny brands, they don't figure that out ahead of time. That evolves over time, over many, many years and actions. So don't feel like you have to have it figured out, but do be intentional. Have I talked for too long already?
Ashley, tell us a little bit about how you use social media personally, and then how Northwest Arkansas United Progressives have kind of sprung out of social media and gone to where you are today.
Hello, thank you very much. And speaking of social media, I wanted to be honest and say that I didn't know the two of you, and so I Facebook snooped. And so I'm very honored to be up here on a panel with such amazing people. And so with how UP has progressed since we just started in November, I was a photographer, I still am a photographer, but I took that knowledge that I learned of taking photos and having an engagement and keeping a following and really focusing on my clientele with the photos that I posted. So I did it more visually than anything, and the photos had to be great and happy and drawn on emotions. After the election, luckily I live in a great neighborhood in downtown Rogers, and the two ladies that helped form the group are here with me to support, and we just got together and we had wine, we paid for a babysitter, and we sat around and talked politically about how we were very disappointed in the results, and we made an agreement to not pacify ourselves. We wanted to be active, and we didn't know where to start. We weren't active in our local Democratic group, and we voted that way. So what we tried to just figure out is, we haven't started a Facebook group because we feel that everyone's feeds is overflowing with so much political things right now already. So we're word of mouth. We're individuals that speak our hearts. When we meet, we announce via email. We have about 130 members that come via email announcement, and so I use my photography skills with social and political activism to really document that time that we spent together. And through photography, what I learned is to use one key photo and a very strong, bold, positive statement, and that really will help engage your following. I've also have made a list of rules for myself personally to always remain authentic. I've kind of used my social media as an umbrella under just my personal self. I can't be a mother without being an activist. I do that for my children. I can't be a photographer without being a mother or an activist. I can't do with it individually, so I have a good umbrella all together, and that's how it's really worked for me. And so with that, my check is, I do a gut check. Is this authentic? Is this my real life? Am I being vulnerable? I feel a lot of my audience likes my vulnerability because I talk about the times. I'm raising a biracial son, a white son, and 2 females. So currently, there's a lot of going on with the current administration, and I have a lot to say, and I become vulnerable, and I try and be a bridge to, as a white person, to other white people of how to engage in things and understand things like Black Lives Matter movement and so forth. And I have sat down with my family, and I told them my oldest has Instagram. It's very, very private that she has Instagram. So we sit down and we talk, and we want to be a positive. We want to be leaders, and we want to share that part of our life. And that's really how it's worked. And I mainly, my advice is, if you post photos, I use Instagram and Facebook. And Instagram works for me because it's pictures. It's very aesthetic, pleasing to the eye, and that's a lot of the times that's what we are as a society and what we go through. We're a scrolling nation. We're always scrolling through. So you want to catch the eye. And if you're not a photographer, I just want to encourage you to look at photos that inspire you. I tell my friends, if you see a photo the way I take of my children, take it the same way of your children. You're not copying me. Nothing's original. Sit down, take your photo the way I do of my children, of yours, and work with it. And that's where you draw your inspiration and continue to move forward. And then it just starts coming organically. And so I always try and, remember to tell my friends that, along with filters, making your pictures pop and pretty. And you can do that outside of Instagram. You don't have to throw on an Instagram filter with, everything. If anyone wants to learn, I can teach you a few filters that you can have on your phone and apps and that are free. And I guess other than that, I just really want you to always remain transparent, authentic, and be the person that you post. Whatever you post, always stay that person and do a gut check. And sometimes it makes me feel uncomfortable to talk about some of the things that I post, and I personally have a certain following as a conservative. The conservative people, Facebook let me know that I have made 214 friends since January 2017, but I've also deleted probably just about as same because of the current situation. And I have a line that I draw, and I have a line that I draw on privacy of what I share with my family, and it's right below authenticity. And my family's on board, and we talk about it every day, and our struggles and instances that we happen to come across, and then we also share through my personal account and what we do with Up, and that's pretty much that's how I do it. And so I'm open for questions later if anyone wants to come up to me afterwards and learn some photo process or anything like that. I'd be happy to help.
Actually, before I give the mic back, do you have any tips from the Indivisible guide that, and I haven't read the whole thing, so I'm sorry, but as far as like posting that the Indivisible guide might kind of push out to help people get engaged on social media?
They have. So we are completely separate from the Indivisible guide, but we always recommend that anyone that wants to do more than what we are doing, we really focus on local policy engagement, community outreach, helping those around us, connecting the mechanical with the emotional. This policy affects this person. Let's meet both. And that's what we draw on. The Indivisible Guide is on Facebook. I think they send out an email, and they give you daily calls to actions. And we always encourage everyone to follow those, because I personally can't keep up with sending out those emails and keeping up with that on Facebook. And they have a great committee that does that, and it tells you daily things to do. And they meet once a month as well in Fayetteville at the Good Shepherd Lutheran Church. And I follow those, and we're always encouraging every one of our groups. And we kind of are co-members of each. We have a lot of people that go to that come to our group as well, and just trying to work together. So
you would say that those prompts really kind of give you a platform to tell your own story on.
Yes, definitely. And following, they always list numbers, what to do, what this bill was passing, what's coming up, and so it's very informative on a day-to-day basis.
if you can do that, I definitely suggest to.
Thanks, Ashley. Okay, we're gonna pass to this side of the room now. What's the county party, Washington County Democrats, and then how it influences the Women's Democratic Party of Washington County? What is the county party doing to help online messaging and messaging overall be easier than ever?
Thank you, Gracie. Ladies, great information so far. I appreciate you sharing your tips and tricks. One thing we want to leave with tonight is some solid foundation of what you can do in your limited time. You're already here on a Tuesday evening, and you're looking for maybe some steps to take in this very scary world of social media. I understand it's kind of hard to tiptoe in. I'm more of a Generation Xer for my age, but I also have some millennial tendencies, which means I cannot let go of this darn cell phone. Because it's such a great connection to people with different belief systems, different varieties of life, and it's been such a benefit. I've grown up with social media since I was in college. MySpace was my first social media page, then Facebook, and then it's expounded. Your county party is really trying to put out specific information important to local work that we're doing. Right now, obviously, the Senate healthcare bill, if you want to call it that, is an important issue local to Northwest Arkansas, Washington County specifically. So we put out a couple of different things. You can be as engaged as you want to just via email. That's an option. We have an e-newsletter that goes out once a week. That's grown to over 2,000 people receiving that email. Not everyone reads it, of course, but they receive it. Everyone reads it, sure. I catch Lauren Marquette, our secretary, and she'll ask a question about an event. It was in the weekly update, and she'll like, oh, I didn't read that. It's not a lie. And I had a microphone, so that means it's not a lie. That's Donald Trump's America right there. If you have the microphone, it's not a lie. So you can engage just via that. If you want to be added to our email list, let me know. It's every Sunday at 2 p.m. If I miss it at 2:05, Daniel Balls thinks I've died in the shower. So it always goes out at 2 o'clock on Sundays. And it really is a wrap-up and a vision casting forward of the week ahead for Democrats. What's going on locally, what events of interest for our groups that have similar interests or similar policies, things from Planned Parenthood to Arkansas Advocates. We really try to share information there. So that's one way to engage just very quickly. Everyone has an email address? Raise your hand if you have an email address. Excellent. So that's one way. Another way, Facebook. My mother loves to share dachshund memes, which are little pictures of dachshunds doing funny things. But sometimes she gets really serious and shares some political things too. Do that. You have fun with it. It's a social tool, right? If you're always business, you're going to lose part of your audience, right? So we mix it up on Washington County Democrats' Facebook page, Instagram page, with some what I think is funny, so it must be hilarious. Some funny stuff, just to keep people engaged, but we also do the serious and important things. Facebook is a great tool to share factual information as it comes out. There's some of you in the room, and I'm not going to point out who, but sometimes you guys share stuff that's not super factual. You don't mean to, it just looks real. So make sure you're reading those. Everything we put out through Washington County Democrats has been vetted. It's from a major news source. It's from the party itself. You're not going to share something from us that's not been vetted previously. So that's always a safe place to share. Carol. Absolutely. I'll be your Snopes for you. You go to Snopes.com too, which is just as easy. Because I love all of you. You'll all be messaging me at midnight tonight going, is this a real thing? No. And I will answer because I'm a nerd. Because I've probably seen it already. So make sure you're verifying those things, but follow the party. Make sure you're following Democratic Women on Facebook. Make sure you're sharing their information. And if you don't know how to do that, we'll be certainly glad to walk you through that because it is quite simple. It's made it very useful. I'm rarely on a computer and I'm able to do almost everything I need to do on my smartphone or tablet or whatever you might have. So we're on social media, we're on Instagram, and let me tell you, if you're trying to find photos and images to propagate an idea or a vision for politics, that's hard work. You got to be able to be creative. So that's where our comedy comes from, is usually Instagram. And then Twitter is more of a very quick conversation or getting out information very quickly. Greg Leding, our state representative, is foremost predominantly a powerhouse on social media. On Twitter specifically, he was an early adopter, and he's hilarious there. It's amazing how much comedy you can put in 160 characters, 48 characters. Republicans outnumber us on Twitter, I guess, because you can lie easier in 140 characters than you can in anything else. So follow them too. Have a conversation, not a conversation. When you're doing your advocacy, make sure you're doing it on social media as well. They may have a portal intern in their office answering that, but it still is putting out information that's positive. So a couple things you can do is like us on Facebook, follow our Twitter, follow our Instagram, and the email is the simplest and easiest thing to do. I think it's informative, it's interactive, and we keep you engaged at any level possible.
Got a question in the back?
I guess question. So, Tyler, is it more effective when contacting our representatives about legislation, for instance, the healthcare bill, to do the email, to do a text, to do a fax, to call? What's the most effective way to get that message across and be repeatedly?
Sure. Best question was, what's the most effective way when you're contacting representatives, specifically John Bozeman, Tom Cotton lately? What is the most effective social media tool or just a general tool?
Well, both.
Okay.
What's the best way to get the message across? Make sure they're really hearing it. I don't know that they really care. I don't know what's changing, but I want to at least express my opinion.
Sure. I think first and foremost, the individual guide tells you to call, always call. An email is important if you have a specific story to share and you are a constituent. I think that is important. There's a lot of tools out there now that I know that JP Madison and JP Balls and Harbison get these mass emails from groups sometimes because someone is paid for a very expensive campaign just to send out a quick email, but it's just a push of a button. If you can tell and Greg gets these too, that if you can tell a genuine story in an email, I think that's appropriate, that's fine. I think it's much more versus a form letter. If you like the handwritten letters, it's going to take a couple days to get there, but I think it's kind of cathartic to put down how much you hate the affordable care, I think that's effective too, but I think Twitter and sharing that you made contact, you share those wins. Hey, someone posted today, hey, I finally got a human being in Tom Cotton's office, but had a little voicemail like John Bozeman. And so I think it motivated me. It's like, oh, I haven't called this week. So it made me think, hopefully I'll actually get to talk to someone in Tom Cotton's office. So first and foremost, that phone call is key. Twitter is probably the best way to contact legislators. You're not going to get an answer, but it's going to make you feel better and probably share your message. I don't know how responsive they're going to be. They really can't have a conversation with you on the Twitters. And Facebook, it's kind of that, it's more of a reputation management part for legislators on Facebook, so it's probably not super effective. So Twitter, tagging them in posts, tagging them in photos, and tagging their actual official page, not their campaign page, because they are separate sometimes. Would anyone disagree with that? Or agree?
On a local level, I think you're talking about like Bozeman and Cotton and people at the national level. I think on a local level where you're more likely to actually
Talk to you.
to talk to us and get us on the other end is I don't spew your hate, please. Because when I get an email from somebody about something and they're just negative, it's an instant turn off. And I'm sure Greg feels the same way at the legislative level. If you're going to be talking to local representatives, be very positive in your message and be brief, because if we're being overwhelmed. But I think it's very different for how you handle local versus national, and I think your message is
is on point for at a national level, but local, keep in mind that you're probably actually getting us. So
Even from a state senator point of view, you're going to get likely the senator. They do have a staff, but it's not enormous, and they're not managing social media accounts. So that's a good point, for sure.
And to add to that, one thing like Ashley and Layla said about staying positive, make sure you're thanking the public servants that are doing good work on social media as well, because that keeps that positive affirmation going. Like I actually thanked the Republican senator from Maine this morning on Twitter because she has vowed to vote no. And then I tagged Bozeman Cotton, hoping they'll do the same. But I got a lot of retweets and a lot of positive feedback on that it does make a difference when we are being positive as well, because we're nice people. We have feelings. They apparently have feelings too. But we do want to keep everything positive as much as possible. Another question?
My question is, when is it appropriate to unfriend or block someone? If you're wanting to get your message out as much as possible and you have someone, maybe someone from high school, perhaps, who is just raising all sorts of hell and just being cantankerous and disagreeing with everything, and you spend too much time pointing out all the ways that they're saying something that's completely wrong. To what extent is it okay to unfriend people and block them, and do not?
I find the unfollow button is much more cathartic than removing them as a friend, because sometimes you can put yourself into a vacuum, a liberal vacuum, so you're only getting the liberal version. We had Brent Robinson from Mod Thing come speak to the Democrats a couple months ago. He talked about you're getting your source from people that are using the same language and the same voice you are. So sometimes for your blood pressure, it's not always great to have that crazy uncle, which we all have, or that really high school friend that is out of touch. I think it depends on how much you can tolerate, but I think it's also good to hear what the opposing team is saying and some talking points they're getting straight from Fox News, which then Donald Trump's getting straight from Fox News, and then so it's just, I think it's nice to have that other point of view in moderation, but also find someone that can match intellectually with you. Maybe it's a college friend who's a Republican that may have some really fiscally conservative views on something that might be something you could adopt. Because has anyone read "Don't Think of the Elephant" by George Lakoff? Great book, right? Talks about, we won't get into it now, but it's a great opportunity to actually start using the language back to them that they use to us. You know, they own values, they own God, they own prayer. There's some benefit there to kind of talk back into their own language. We're really trying to change minds and hearts. So control your blood pressure, but also I would say be careful of not putting yourself into a vacuum.
Yeah, there's unfollow, and then there's follow, see less of this person, and you can just keep going less and less and less.
Yeah, that's a great point. I have to put the microphone way down here. So I have a similar, maybe a little bit divergent view. So I think it's just like life, right? Like you engage, as much as you engage, that's going to expand. And I agree that we want to, if we have a message to get across, we want to maybe engage. But one of my other rules is you cannot argue with people online. So like this is not the place, like raising awareness, getting a message out, that is awesome to do online. I have found that it's very counterproductive to try to convince people of anything online or have like a rational argument. So one thing that I have studied at length is, or just been exposed to and learned about, is the algorithms of social media. And it is just like life. The more you engage, the more that Facebook or Twitter or whoever else is going to think, oh, look, she likes engaging with that person. I'm going to show her that person all the time. But you really never have to even unfollow or block or see less or anything. If you just scroll on by. Just like smile and keep on scrolling. And then you can always still have those people in your feed when you want to be educated on what their view is. But I think I'm sure there are much smarter people in the room than me know like a stat. But like there's some stat of actually the effectiveness of trying to sway someone's political feelings with your arguments, and I don't think it works. Yeah, it just makes you dig in harder. I know it's from personal experience when I make that mistake. But anyway, if that helps, I don't know. That's my 2 cents. I agree. I have unfriended a lot when it comes to certain subjects, being in the situation I am and how I'm choosing to raise my children. And my husband is a refugee from Sierra Leone, so a lot of things with the refugee ban and stuff, and I drew the line there. But I did a lot of unfollow. That is easier because the algorithm is true. I mean, it's crazy how it shows up more the more you engage. So I don't try to persuade anyone to believe the way that I do, and I'll defend if I need to defend somebody or defend anybody. And especially my mama bear will come out and I will unfriend over that topic. I don't feel like I'm gonna draw back in that anytime soon because my kids are my kids forever. So that's where I draw the line personally.
I would not defend hate speech if you're hateful, if you use derogatory language. I swear like a sailor, but if you call someone, if you refer someone negatively, a race, a creed, you're gone. There's no excuse for that. You can do your best to educate, but obviously there's hate there that you can't overcome.
Who has the next question? Okay, well,
Right here.
one at the same time.
What is your favorite political site that maybe we haven't heard about?
Use the mic, please.
I don't think.
All right, use the mic.
So this isn't a site, but it's a newsletter you can sign up for. It's called the LZ Sunday paper. It's by a woman named Lauren Zalaznak, who was with Bravo for many years and some other media outlets I can't remember. But she curates, it's like news about and for and by women in tech and media and business and just everything at the cutting edge. It comes out on Sunday morning. You just wake up, just reach for that phone, and you have all these fascinating stories that you just have to pick like what you're gonna read. So she curates all the best stories of the week that are so fascinating from in political fields as well. So I highly recommend. It's free. You just if you Google LZ Sunday paper, you'll find it, and that's my favorite news of the week.
B is in violin.
No, Z as in zebra.
Z is in zebra.
LZ.
Like lazy.
Or is it lazy Sunday paper?
Okay, one more.
Well, that's hard for me. Peggy, I use Skim a lot. It's a paid app. You Skim, but you can do it paid. Yeah. But the Skim it collects news stories for you from various areas. You can set up region. You can set up specific keywords. And I also use Google Words, Google Alerts, Google Alerts. So this sounds narcissistic. If my name pops up or Greg's name pops up, it sends me an email with that article, so I kind of know what's going on. So there's certain keywords that I follow: Arkansas equality, just certain issues. So it's more about skimming reputable news sites. Politico is starting to lean a little bit right now than they ever have before, but it's just kind of a sign of the times. I'm a big Politico fan, which is that fake news that Donald Trump talks about. But I think Skim is a great option. There's a free app version of that. I think maybe the paid app is maybe like $2 a week, something like that.
The paid app does connect things to your calendar and it's very helpful. It's like, yeah, $2.99.
Yeah. Nice.
So I was going to say skin as well. But I like to follow Dan Rather on Facebook.
Oh, yeah.
Does anyone else? And so and he's STEM News and Guts, and so those are my favorites. News and Guts. It's Dan Rather. I think it stemmed from him. He started it. I'm not sure. That's my favorite. I have it. You can choose to on Facebook to see instead of unfollowing. You can say see first, and so I have a few of those things popping up in my feed as first. So those are
That's why I love headquarters operation time. No, you're exactly right. Things are so dire, we need $1 today to make it to our goal. It's a tactic that is obviously working, or they would stop sending the emails, because I'm guilty of doing it. $1 here, $5 there. One way to check if they're reparable, at the bottom of that email, it should tell you paid for by. There are probably 4 or 5 different entities of the Democratic National Committee that are emailing you. The DNC is one of them. The DLCC, which is Democratic Leadership, DLCC, Leadership something Committee. Democratic Leadership Committee, DLCC, funds state candidates. The DCCC funds congressional candidates, and the DSC, Democratic Senate Committee, funds Senate races. So they all share the same list, I'll be honest, that once you sign up, one that shares you across the board. We do not share our list at the Washington County Democrats. It's just not shared even with candidates. Sorry, candidates, we just don't do it. So just verify it's coming from a confirmed place. Your dollars are better spent, and I'm just going to tell you, locally and to candidates individually. The DNC gives very little money back to the state party, and none of it comes locally. So if you feel passionate about a cause specifically, find a candidate that connects with that cause. If you care deeply about women's health, connect with a candidate that cares about women's health. If you LGBT issues, find a candidate that connects with that. Your local, not to the horn of the Democratic women, the work that they're doing locally, help pay for the room. That's the biggest benefit, I think, I know is to give locally. And even the state party, I'm the treasurer of the party, so I have to say it, likes donations as well. Do we have press in the room tonight? That I think your best return on investment right now is to your local candidates and your local party. That's what I'll say.
We are right at time. A couple of closing words, and I know we have a prize to draw, so that is definitely, we don't want to get in the way of that. Just, we heard a lot of C's and P's and B's. So cause, content, consistency, and connectivity. Being personal, professional, and political, and we can't all live under the same umbrella, but doing that with all those C's in mind. And then from a B perspective, be international, or be intentional. You can be international too. Be active, be authentic, balanced, and bold. So those are all words that really resonated, I think, to me as listening to the panel. And for a little math, a little Facebook-specific math for us, the Washington County Democratic Women's page has 758 likes. The Washington County Democrats have 2,298 likes. And on average, each of us have about 200 friends. So if you do that math out for a reach perspective, if everybody that was part of those groups shared the messages even on a weekly basis, we would reach over 500,000 people worldwide, because we have reach throughout the entire world. So that's the importance of sharing and sharing your story and sharing your message, so that people understand why you're connected and why you do what you do and why you stand up for what you do and why you're telling your authentic self. So again, let's give our panelists a round of applause. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for the great questions. And we'll send out the recap information and the one-pager out to everybody as well, so if you have a friend that missed it, be on the email lookout for that.
Thanks. I appreciate all of our speakers tonight for being here and for being willing to share, and I hope that you'll be able to stay a little bit after we adjourn, so that people who have questions would be able to communicate with you. Thank you very much. I thought it was fun and different, and so it was good to have those young people talking to us. I appreciate it. Young friends. All right. we need to tilt the age group. All right, a couple of things, other business that one of the things that I mentioned earlier was that our bylaws are in need of revision. The last revision was 2012. And so if you're looking at an agenda, I'm asking for volunteers to serve on a special committee to revise our Washington County Democratic Women's bylaws. If that's something that you feel like you would be willing to muddle through with us, if you'll indicate on one of the sign-in sheets next to your name, just say bylaws committee. I have one volunteer already that has emailed me back, and so it'd be good to have 3 or 4 people if possible. So indicate that on your on the sign-in sheet if you would be so kind to do that. I have a few brief announcements. Does anyone else have a quick announcement that is of interest to the whole group? Okay, quick.
I just want to make sure that everybody knows, I'm going to ask you to raise your hands, but I'm on the recruiting committee for the Democratic Party recruiting candidates. Anyone who has ever thought about running for office, please see me afterwards. It's not a commitment, but it is an opportunity for you to learn more about it or to learn more about other organizations that you might be involved in that are opportunities for you. So please see me afterwards.
Okay, that is a county committee to recruit candidates, and so if you are interested, talk to Larry and he will point you in the right direction. Thank you. Couple of other things. Take a look at the dates and the upcoming opportunities and things that are listed on the bottom of the agenda. You'll notice that there are things that are happening over the next month. There was one thing that I wanted to add to that, is that on Saturday, July 15th, the Benton County Democrats are having a recruit and run workshop at Northwest Arkansas Community College in Bentonville, and there has been information in several emails about that, but I did not get that on the list, and so you can find information about that online or at the Benton County Democrats Facebook or website. Our program next month, not quite that quick, it'll be on the 20th. I need to read my own thing, y'all. Sorry, my adrenaline's gone cuckoo. July 25th, our next meeting. We will have 2 speakers, writers, authors, analysts, Angie Maxwell and Todd Shields from the Diane Blair Center for Southern Politics and Society. They have co-authored a study that was recently made available called Modern Sexism and the 2016 Election. It's a focus report, and I think that it will be an interesting program, and I've had several members recommend Angie Maxwell to come and speak to us, and she and her co-author, Todd Shields, will be here in July, and you'll get more information about that.
The father of Miss America. Yes. His daughter is Shabby Chic.
Oh my gosh, she was one of my former students too. He was one of my former parents. Wow, I didn't even know that. Oh, I'm so excited.
It's a small
sorry. I digress. Thank you so much to everyone who attended tonight. Is there anything else? If not, I'll accept a motion. Oh, thank you.
Drawing.
See, I'm glad I have people to remind me of what I'm supposed to do. All right, we have a copy of Notorious RBG, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and so let's see, some literature. It's a really fun book. It's got a lot of color photographs in it, and I think if you haven't read it, you'll enjoy it. It is really good. Okay. The last four numbers, 2412.
Are you kidding?
That's great. I'm glad. All right. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
A second. See y'all next month. Thanks so much for being here. I appreciate it.
I've talked all day. I had a last minute presentation for the chamber, which went on way too long. But there's some-
I'm still recording. Should I stop?